No brakes, all gas. Now watch me boss up. Blockchain's future, yeah, we stacking up the blocks.
Sup, everybody. Welcome to another community call with our co-founders, Joshua Topkin and John Jones. It's great to have you all alongside with us. Of course, very exciting times here at Supra, as the Supra Liquid Sale on Common Fund is currently well underway. I'm going to start right there, gentlemen. Josh and John, welcome to this community call. But John, really exciting times with regards to the Supra Liquid sale.
Yeah, totally. We had close to 1,000 people participate, 900 to be exact, with an average price of 800. You know, we had a hard cap, and we're pretty happy with the numbers. 900 people, average sale or average participation around 800 USD. And I think we're about to reach our goal, if not, 2 minutes ago. So pretty successful launch.
It actually just finished. I'm just pulling it up here. We wanted to hit at least 100 million. That was like, okay, if we hit that, then we're going to move forward with this. We actually ended up with, I'm pulling up SuperScan as well. Looks like we had 920 people KYC participated in this. And I'm seeing in SuperScan 196.37 million Supra. And I believe the average is around, as John mentioned, $800 worth of Supra per person. So we capped this at like $8,000. You know, like some people want to do like 50,000. We're like, no, sorry, you can't do it. You know, so 8,000 per round. And this kind of keeps it a nice, fair community distribution. Nice the average is about $800 each. So this is good. I mean, this is exactly what we're looking for.
Yeah, and once again, thank you to all the Citadel Vault stakers. We're going to be reopening Citadel shortly. We'll have more information on that, but basically Citadel will be open, and we're going to create a system where if you hold a certain amount of tokens within Citadel for X amount of time, you can participate in all future sales as long as you keep it there staked. And so, thank you to our Citadel stakers and community members, and also for the people that are outside of Citadel that also contributed in round 2. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and it's pretty exciting. I mean, the community were really impressed with that mechanism of capping how much each individual user can contribute. And that obviously was based on preventing whales and people from holding too much liquid tokens in this sale, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's right. So we capped it, preventing whales to accumulate too much. We also didn't have, as we mentioned before, Liquid has 0 VC funding. So it's only community, like early access. People get a little piece of feeling like they have a sense of ownership and excitement to want to help promote and be on the journey with us with Supra Liquid.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I just got a message, wanted to deal with it. So Comic-Con, that was we're really excited that we got to give this to the Citadel folks. Just really want to re-emphasize what John said, which is we are this program, if you got into that round, it was because you had staked in the Citadel for like 3 months and you locked yourself up there. It was really important for us to make sure that you folks had access to the best deal. Because the next Common Fund sale, it will be one of our Supra ecosystem projects, maybe in about 2-3 weeks from now, another 2-3 weeks from now, another one. Once again, Citadel folks are going to get best access. We do think we'll open up Citadel one more time. The dynamics might change. We actually might let you leave it. But if you have left it, basically you may have to keep it in there for at least 45 days. And then thereafter, you can have access to future discounts of any project that launches. We're really trying to do maybe one of these a month, ecosystem projects, et cetera, discount deals, Citadel folks. And then the key though is that in this next version, we may just not force you to lock up. You can take it out anytime you want, but the requirement is that you have, if you want access to like the next deal, you got to be in there for 45 days or something like this.
That's right. And I want to mention also again that this raise was done in Super Token, and the Super Token that was received in this raise will not be sold. It'll be used for the sake of liquid building community, attracting liquidity providers, and future incentives on liquid program on the liquid platform. So don't worry about the Supra there kind of being sold in the open market. You can watch it. The wallet is transparent. It'll be used for incentives and community.
That's right. We should also just briefly talk about that while we're not selling any of those tokens, they're all going to be delegated to ecosystem incentives. We do want to set the standard of an ICO 2.0 concept, right? So it's basically some level of governance and oversight and accountability. That's the main thing. Traditionally, ICOs had just been like, you raise the money and then they leave. Like EOS raised $1 billion, right? And they made more money as block one instead of EOS, the blockchain itself. And it is what it is. But we think that public ICOs, they do need accountability. They need to have some sort of decentralized governance. It's not healthy for a project to get all the money and funding up front. It's better to hit these milestones and then take from there. So our first milestone is going to be testnet. And then after testnet is finishing audits. And then after audits, it means mainnet, right? So nothing is released today. And also along the way, for God forbid anything happened and we're not delivering, at each milestone, those can be refunded and returned to the original contributors. So very simple idea, powerful. We think that everyone's going to do this eventually. It just always made sense, right? So yeah, that's the kind of, is there anything else you want to share there, John, about
Sure. I mean, in the spirit of fairness, right, with this raise, also when we think about Project Blastoff or PBO, the missions and the rewards on PBO are supposed to be fair. We actually use a DVRF, a verifiable random function, to select the winners. And we give an equal chance to new community members and a lot of the, our older community members that have been very faithful and with us for a very long time. And I think, there were some comments on socials about maybe it's not fair and, hey, this is like, how maybe this can be a little bit more transparent. So maybe we can do a better job at kind of showing the transparency, but just know in the back end, we're using our DVRF, which is actually Supra technology, to really choose the winners at random. And just really we want to value our old community members, but we also still have to have a way of rewarding and valuing all the newcomers to join our community. And it's a tough balance, but we're trying to do that as much as we can.
Yeah, I would say that everything is actually transparent on chain, so it's all there. One of our major projects or products is the VRF, the verifiable random function. We're getting like 40,000 plus requests per day, right? We're not charging for this. We're going to start to charge for it soon, and other things that we offer. But still, like it's not bad, and it's early still. 40,000 a day is not bad though. Let's see what else. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very busy month. I mean, the proof of concept, the POC for Super Liquid, is we already have a POC of the Microchain, right? The Supra chain container concept. It's running the Supra stack. It's producing end-to-end 55 millisecond block times. There's no optimization here. Small network, we're talking about like, I don't know, I think it's 10 nodes. But the whole point of these microchains are to be 10 nodes or like even 7 maybe, right? And still like have this extreme performance, but settle on the super layer 1 for the value transfers, ideally in like 1 or 2 seconds max. So full finality a second or 2 later, that's the goal, right? So very exciting stuff. But we also have all these other products that we're bringing to market, right? We have Threshold AI Oracle, right? We have, iterations to automation. The AutoFi is a big one, right? So you saw us launch AutoFi, and we kind of start to build like a lot of good use case and traction there. But along the way, as we scale to like millions of transactions in a single day, we saw places where we could optimize and scale it better. So we're like, okay, let's redo some of these smart contracts, just restructure this a little bit. Let's bite the bullet now instead of later. We'll have less technical debt by doing it. So about the last 3 weeks, we've been reworking a lot of those. They're getting a launch tonight again, the new ones, structured slightly different for more scalability and more cost efficiency as well. So tonight, functionalities are starting to roll out there. later this week, next week, every week thereafter, a new primitive, AutoFi primitive, is going to be kind of re-released. And this is the beginning of AutoFi properly. And, so the old model has stayed on layer 1, but the upgrade is going to allow us to scale to a lot more capacity. Next version V2 is almost ready to launch on testnet. Like the actual structural changes, there's more on the smart contract level for what we just did in the last 3 weeks. V2, there are some infrastructure changes for automation V2, which we expect us to give us 10x more capacity, right? So we'll be able to handle more than 10x more than what we're doing today. It's already a lot. It's like maybe 500 simultaneous transactions. The next version is going to handle 5,000 transactions per block, right? For the automation checks. So that's very exciting. And we can go through. I mean, John, do you want to go through anything else related to Common Fund, Super Liquid, ICO 2.0, FTO, anything like this? I mean, the videos are on that page, and we hope everyone just watches that, right? But otherwise, I'll share my screen to go through timelines.
Yeah, why don't we first go through the roadmap and kind of there are some things there that we can kind of discuss as we go along.
Let's do it. And then, yeah, I mean, if you guys have questions, just reach out to or post them to James, and he'll get them for us.
Yeah, real quick, if you guys can comment on Web3 Sniper's comments. I think he's pretty correct here, but super restricted US citizens to avoid any legal issues, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have 100% regulatory clarity yet because of the, rules around accredited investors and such, right? We're a lot closer in the right direction. They're tokenizing private equity, for example, like tokenizing stocks and stocks that are not listed on public markets yet. So yeah, basically the common fund team, the foundation, they're actually offshore, and their legal said, or the collective legal said, unfortunately, it's better not to. We had a geofence America. We couldn't let them in. It's ridiculous, right? You got this like sanctioned countries, and then you got like I don't know, like Syria, and then USA. It's like, what's going on? It's kind of like all these. It is what it is, though, right? But hey, the moment that we get this regulatory clarity in the United States, I'm pretty sure Confund, they'll open it up to everyone, right? I'm pretty sure. So we'll just have to take it step by step there. Let me get my screen shared. Yeah.
When Trump administration crypto friendly?
Yeah, it's friendly, but I don't think the rules are clear yet. Okay, so let's talk about
Yeah, this is going to be good.
Okay, so I can't see you guys, so if you raise your hand, or John, if you need to say something, just kind of say something and then just jump in. Otherwise, I can't actually see your videos. Okay.
Will do.
So, okay, good. So Super Liquid, right? We just kind of completed the common fund sale. It's like exactly what we were looking for. We did have a cap, right, on the amount of tokens that we max would sell out, but we didn't even want to do that. We actually wanted to sell closer to as like a collective, right? The foundation and the organization and the partners for the Super Liquid token closer to around 1%. I think we're very close to about 1% only was sold. And it wasn't sold to VCs, it was sold to community. About 920 people participated. And the average ticket size is something like $800 worth of Supra. So there's no whales in the system. It's very, very kind of even playing field. And I do think we sold about 1% of the liquid supply, which is a great story. It's really, like I said, we're trying to not sell too much. I'm sorry, I got that incorrect. The Citadel was about 1.25, and then the public sale was another 0.5. So it is probably closer to 1.5% we sold. Excuse me, I should have known that. So anyways, forgive me. But yes, around 1.5% is sold out of up to 1.75 or something like this. Still very respectable, small amount to community caps. Everyone can do more than $8,000 worth per round, and most people were not in the first round. Almost 1,000 people, 920 people participated. They had a KYC, so imagine the hurdles. They have to KYC. They can't be from America, and they also the maximum they can invest is $8,000, right? US dollars worth of Supra. And so these are actually very good numbers in terms of, as we kind of discussed, there's no whales in the system. So all that Supra will be used. Right now, I think it's worth about, let's see here, maybe 770,000 range, 700, almost 770,000 US dollars worth of Supra. Imagine if Supra kind of goes to the, maybe like by the time Super Liquid goes to mainnet, Super Token's worth more. Well, let's suppose that it's worth, let's just say, an extra 33% higher than it is today. That means we're closer to $1 million worth of value that is going to be put into ecosystem incentives, right, through this liquid round concept, right? Which is a good start. And that's Supra. Also, Super Liquid has liquid, as you all know from the liquid token economics. There's some community incentives baked into this as well. But we'll be able to kind of attract liquidity by having a more liquid token called Supra, as well as the liquid token, the new one, that both of which can be utilized as means to attract market makers, liquidity providers, basically, So proof of concept, right? Mentioned we have the microchain. It's already live. It's just running the super stack in a very controlled environment, so to speak. It's just trying to get this new technologies, new concept to market. We've deployed a lot of things in smart contracts to kind of get this going, connected kind of the interface. You saw the video of the interface. That's a real product interface, right? And it's early, and we're going to make changes to it. But it's that was a clickable, real interface that was running on smart contracts. And so we're trying to kind of clean it up. The indexing, there's some other things like communicating with this, similar chain, RPC nodes, Explorer. You have to kind of connect all those components as well still. So we're still doing that. But we expect the proof of concept to be available, frankly, it could be like 2 weeks from now. But let's just say mid to late September. And we'll showcase it, show folks how like it's running on 50 millisecond blocks, end-to-end experience. Block production could probably be closer to 20 milliseconds, right? It should be very fast. I mean, human, just think about scale. A second has 1,000 milliseconds, right? And a 20 millisecond block productions means you're creating 50 blocks per second. You can't even blink an eye and count them. You can't, in your mind, you can't even count from 1 to 50 in less than a second, right? So that's how fast the blocks will be produced. It's basically a Web 2 experience, right? But we're going to be able to, through this technology, continue to provide Web 3 security. So the way we're doing it is really interesting. It's very novel. No one's done it before because you had to scale the layer one first to even consider this concept. But basically, we'll be talking a lot more about the technology, and we do want others to deploy these microchains as well. Super Liquid will be the first one. In many regards, we'll try to some degree, build in public. It's kind of show folks how that if they want to create a microchain, use the same technology underneath the hood to build their own ecosystem. We're going to kind of map it out and document our process to build Super Liquid and just give that playbook to anyone on our ecosystem that wants it. So, like I mentioned, small things, you will need to connect to a Block Explorer, to Super Block Explorer. You'll need to communicate with wallets. You'll have to connect with RPC nodes. These are in addition to building the DApp and the interface and the marketing, But this is also universal, meaning every microchain will have to do this. If you're on the Super Layer 1 directly, you don't have to do that on the Super Layer 1 containers. Remember, there's two types of containers. They're just regular containers on Supra. And then there's these chain containers, these microchains, which have their different properties, right? Still, the key is that these ecosystems can have their own governance. They can have their own token. They can set their own gas fees. They can set their own gas price. They can say that this action really costs to actually execute this on Super Layer 1 is 1/10 of a penny, but in their containers, $1, right? So that's 1,000x markup, not even 1,000%, 1,000 times, markup. So that's interesting business model, among other things that we were really excited. We want you folks to build these killer ecosystems because that value will just go to basically everything in Super. Like we're really aligning the value, especially through this FTO fused token offering, where there's just it's almost as if the whole system is aligned to have all stakeholders, from node operators to dApps to end consumers, their incentives are all aligned, even to VCs and liquidity providers, aligning everything, and it's going to be interesting. We're really excited how this is unfolding. This has been, no doubt, for some of you guys have been here since we TG'd last November. You guys, and we have seen significant volatility, right? And I don't think anyone at Super would have preferred it to be this way. We think Slow would say to the right would have been a lot better. Nonetheless, this is the cards were dealt, and at the same time, we can't regret it because, well, first of all, there's a lot of factors out of our hands, but also it's not about regret. It's just more like, those challenges. If you rise to the challenge and you can come up with something new, this led us to where we're at today. The super liquid common fund sale, the microchain concept, that technology is actually really exciting. And while super liquid is probably going to be among the major use cases of this technologies for a long time, it's going to enable many other things. And GameFi is going to be huge on this technology, in my opinion, because I feel like Web 2, but have Web 2 responsiveness, but Web 3 for all the value, kind of to keep the game honest, and also for the value transfers. Anyhow, so kind of coming back here, yeah. So proof of concept, we'll show that hopefully in a couple weeks. Yeah, we'll have videos and everything, and some of you, if you want to click around, if you, let us know. We'll try to let some of you in for early testing. But then really the reconstruction of the central limit order book, customization to the engine, etc. That'll take some time and modification. So the testnet, the actual testnet deployment, where we have a microchain that's connecting to super testnet, is it's actually hard to put exact date on it. But maybe, yeah, I shouldn't say a date. Or here at the bottom it says all timelines may shift and are subject to change. So I'll go ahead and say
Yeah,
maybe.
I was gonna say, don't forget that bottom line, man.
Yeah. So since that is there, the team added that to the bottom. Good. Basically, I would say maybe a super liquid testnet could be, yeah, end of Q4 this year, right? So let's see. It might be, yeah, sooner, later. We'll see. Okay, so we just talked about super liquid. Let's talk about supernova. So we know supernovas are layer 1 to layer 1 cross-chain communication protocol. Supernova.ai, you can go there. We do have intention to integrate AI into the interface to help guide you and help you make decisions. So that'll be coming probably later this year or early next year. We are building internally at Supra an AI team, right? And we have been for some time. Small, very small one, but you'll see. I mean, as you know, at AutoFi, right? That's an AI-assisted interface for building AI developer tools, right? But anyways, Supernova.ai is a layer 1 to layer 1 cross-chain communication protocol, right? And that's on mainnet for about, I think, 3 weeks now. We try to, these things are very critical infrastructure, right? So we are trying to take things slowly. There are some limitations on the maximum you can bring into Supra through this cross-chain communication technology, the bridge, right? And remember, we actually consider this bridgeless because it's layer 1 to layer 1 cryptographic communication. We don't rely on a middleware bridge, right? So it's actually among probably the safest design physically possible and cryptographically possible, layer 1 to layer 1. That's our belief. So this is mainnet already, but now that we have this is, by the way, only Ethereum to Super right now. Super back to Ethereum is coming soon. But now that we have the kind of first channel of communication from Ethereum to Supra live on mainnet, the next main protocol, as we all know, is the POEL protocol, Proof of Efficient Liquidity Protocol, also known as multi-asset liquid staking. Okay, this is already on testnet. It's already on testnet deployed. We'll open it up for folks to actually utilize the interface and understand how it works, like the asset factory, like where you mint these POEL tokens. And the when I say tokens, basically you're bringing your asset over to Supra, right? So you bring your Ether, for example, to Supra. You use that as collateral, borrow Supra token. Okay, so your Ether is now on Supra as collateral, borrow Supra token, stake it to node operators. That's the first source of yield. And then the POEL protocol will give you an IETH, another liquid staking derivative version of your ETH that is being utilized as economic security to provide security to Super Layer 1. Is that interesting? Ether, through this mechanism, is bringing economic security to Super Layer 1. And at the same time, kind of like Lido ETH, right? You are issued an IETH on Supra that you can use in Supra DeFi. That's where there may be other additional opportunities for yield seeking, right? So this is a dual kind of strategy, staking rewards plus use that asset for Supra DeFi. And your Ether in this example, remember, you're basically using it as collateral to provide staking to Supra, right? This is why I call multi-asset liquid staking. You're bringing economic security to Supra. We're going to do the same thing with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, Ether are going to start to bring this economic security to Supra. And eventually it's going to be connecting to other chains, other assets. We're about to deploy like, I don't know, like 5 other ERC20 tokens from Ethereum to be brought to Supra pretty soon. BNB chain. So let me kind of go through here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but mid-October. So, let's say roughly 45 days from now, we expect us to be able to communicate back from, Supra to Ethereum. So we already have Ethereum to Supra. It's live right now. It's layer 1 to layer 1 consensus verification, right? And then, but us going from Supra back to Ethereum, we think it's going to be about 45 days from now. The reason behind this are things called cryptographic commitments or event commitments, or basically proofs that, uh, that things have happened on Supra that is very efficient for Ethereum to verify. Okay. So Merkle proofs and such, and basically event commitments, cryptographic kind of these mechanisms that allow us to succinctly verify what Supra has done or what other things have on other chains have done through Supra to Ethereum. So October, the next one is Supernova to BNB chain. Like secretly, we've already integrated prototypes into BNB chain from the Binance Smart Chain from a couple weeks ago already. So probably we'll get this deployed on testnet after we get POEL, proof of efficient liquidity, onto mainnet. So let's get that first. Then we'll focus on the next chain, which is going to be BNB. So sometime in October we'll deploy that. It's possible that it's deployed mid-September, if not sometime in October. So that's the Supernova's layer 1 to layer 1 cross communication protocol. Auto-fi, we kind of touched upon this at the beginning of the call. Automation. Basically tonight, we're kind of rolling out the next version of the Auto-fi primitives with more scale and more gas efficiency and more power, basically, right? And so we kind of had to go back to the drawing boards, alter like in the last 3 weeks the other Auto-fi primitives that we had originally rolled out, and now they're bigger, better, badder, faster, all that stuff, right? Basically, well, you know what I'm saying, right? They're at the same speed because it's 0 block delay, but there's just much more you can do with this, we think, and into the near future will just gives us a lot more scale. So tonight it's already starting to roll out. Later this week, maybe some more. The next week, some more primitives or like fundamental functionalities. That's what we call primitives. So new AutoFi functionalities that can mix and match and do many things later into the future. So automation v2, that is actually on the infrastructure layer as mentioned. That will give us about 10x more capacity. We could probably do more than that, by the way, but we're just gonna go from 500 per block to like maybe 5,000, and then we'll take it. We'll evaluate things at that stage. But 10x capacity is very exciting. Early October, we already talked about Supernova. That's a bridge cross-chain communication protocol, right? Automation with cross-chain communication protocol allows Supra to do things with assets on other chains on your behalf. Okay, so maybe you want something to happen based off of some other activity that happens to not even be on Supra. Through Supernova cross-chain communication protocol and smart contract and cryptographic verification, we can basically automate asset logic on like Ethereum. Supra is the brain that's using its native Oracle data, its price feeds to have awareness of what's going on in other ecosystems and such. And then it can trigger a decision to be made, which can be communicated through Supernova. It could actually be communicated at the same time to multiple chains simultaneously. But in this case, let's just say to Ethereum to do something on Aave or do something on Uniswap on your behalf based off of some trigger that was, maybe it was a interest rate cut, or maybe it was a jobs report, or something like this, or some other macro event, price of Bitcoin, whatever, right? It could be many things that trigger some sort of activity that will trigger it automatically, even if you're not at your computer, right? And it'll trigger it with transparency and determinism, meaning if the event happened, will trigger, it'll execute, and you'll know exactly why it executed. You have that full transparency. And it's also unstoppable. That's a cool thing too, right? So yeah, that's the cross-chain automation. We're going to Singapore for Token 2049. There's some event there. We'll be talking about this more in about a month. So we're actually really excited about this idea of Supra being a brain, like that can see the outside world. Like oracles are like sensory organs, and it can perceive the outside world, communicate with the outside world, and to other blockchains to basically send signals to your assets on different chains to do things based off of changing conditions in the real world in real time, transparently, in a way that's unstoppable. It's pretty cool stuff, actually. So that's coming soon. A lot of these ideas, what's really cool is that we've been thinking about these ideas for years, and they're finally going to mainnet. So it's pretty exciting for us, actually. So big one. This is relatively new. What I'll show the last one here. It's like 6 months old. System level auto liquidation and auto arbitrage as a business model for the layer one. So how does that work? So wait a second. Like these layer ones are supposed to generate fees. Like what? And then, right. So business models, like really? Okay. Well, there is. Well, it's definitely important. But what's happening right now in Web3 on these big chains, especially Ethereum, Solana, is something called MEV, maximally extractable value. There's toxic MEV and there's good MEV or productive MEV. System level auto liquidations and auto arbitrage is basically good, productive, maximally extractable value in a way that's actually good for the end consumer, right? It's actually good for execution quality for the end consumer. Why? Well, first of all, if the system doesn't capture the value, these MEV professionals, these MEV connoisseurs, right? They'll take the value, and they don't necessarily give it back to the ecosystem. What this does is if there's a liquidation, like especially in a perp dex, the whole thing is powered on liquidation, basically, right? If there's a liquidation that is not triggered by anyone else in the community, then the system at the end of the block on the system level, meaning the collective of everyone that owns a super token, you know, the system itself will execute it and capture the fee, and then redistribute that revenue to the DApp where it came from, to the DApp where it came from, to the node operators who are running the system, and also, of course, to like a decentralized treasury that represents the collective interests of the collective, becoming a revenue source, and that decentralized treasury could be doing buybacks, right? So liquidations, auto liquidations mean deterministic, transparent, automatic liquidations if and only if there's a position that is underwater, right? So this is good for DeFi because it makes sure that the system always stays solvent. It's continuously solvent. Okay. So you basically remove the ability for there to be systemic risk. Okay. But it also generates income for many stakeholders, including the super token holders, which are represented by the decentralized treasury. Over time, we want decentralized governance to control the treasury. This is where we're moving towards already. So we already had our first global decentralized governance vote on chain. That was the first for us, right? And probably in November we'll have another one. We'll talk about different topics. We'll see. We'll let communities, propose what they want to ask, and we can discuss them and start to have this, these discourse. The last governance decision was to move away from 10-minute vesting, right? In real time 10-minute vesting, which was just like awful. It just doesn't work. No one should ever do that. Unless unless you're very careful or special edge case. It's just not recommended. They have shifted now, starting from like 4 or 5 days ago. Now we're into quarterly unlocks, right? So there shouldn't be any tokens unlocked from any VC or contributor, or even the airdrop folks. They don't have unlocks here for the next 3 months. So during these 3 months, we're really trying to make bring a lot of things to market. BuffI, Threshold AI Oracle, Supernova, Proof of Efficient Liquidity Protocol. Let's get the engines, let's get more dApps launching. Let's get the engines going on Supra and really enter Q4 powerfully. So that's kind of what we're moving towards. Threshold AI Oracle, testnet. This is already the prototype. We're doing a demo tonight on the research call. After this call, we have a kind of team research call every Monday, a couple times a week, Tuesday and Thursdays, sometimes Fridays. And we're doing a demo on Supra's novel Threshold AI Oracle's concept on our testnet very soon. And then we're going to start to, really mature this technology. And how do we do this? Well, we're the first to do this, by the way, right? And there's a lot of interest. We have folks from Chainlink reaching out to us about this. We got folks, people in the AI industry reaching out. So this is, of course, we're the first to think of it. We're first to bring it to market. Let's stay ahead and bring something new that no one else has. But we also, because we know AI is not deterministic, it can have like different answers, right? It can hallucinate, et cetera. We have to have a process where, the whole protocol, the Threshold AI Oracle, the Tau protocol, is meant to safely bring AI reasoning on chain. Okay. But now that's theory, and we have the prototype. Now what we have to do is run a series of tests. The tests that we're running, it's pretty cool because we get to learn about prediction markets. We are basically going to resolve all the existing markets, or many of them, maybe a couple hundred of them, at poly markets. So they have prediction markets on various things. It could be any topic, right? Also, Kalshi will just kind of like I've had conversations with some of these folks, by the way. We internally will run to create a report to show the accuracy of the world. Is basically follow these markets for a period of time, maybe a couple months, and ideally have 100% accuracy, right? In terms of resolving those prediction markets, right? And of course, projects on Supra. And maybe we'll partner with one of you and to build a prediction market on Supra using Threshold AI oracles like right now. Let's get super liquid first. But bottom line is that this is how we're going to be testing it. We're going to be tracking its progress, its answers, understanding how much can it scale, how many concurrent questions or requests can it handle simultaneously, how accurate is it, how many more models like AI, large language models, can we integrate into this and run our protocol, and to really understand it in and out. But this is a fun one, and the way we're testing is through resolving prediction markets, right? So this will be fun, and like every single layer one is going to do a prediction market, I guess, right? And probably Super too. I know some of you folks that are builders already doing it or thinking about it. Please do. We would Threshold AI article is very exciting, I think, because there's just in this era of AI and automation, there's just no other chain that's even close to having this type of stuff, right? As well as like the innovations we have where the magic happens, right? It's when multiple of those pieces come together. That's really where the magic happens. So I should address, how does Supra operate internally? We have different teams for different things. So for example, Threshold AI Oracle, like the lead engineer and co-designer is Dr. Yang, right? Our chief security officer. He's actually implementing this. His background is AI. He was a professor teaching AI back in 4 years ago, right? 3 years ago, and he's been with us full time as chief security officer. But he also has a strong blockchain background as well. But as AI started getting this good, of course, he understands AI probably better than anyone else on our team. And he's been implementing this, and we're getting close to testing and deployment. Another team, it's actually separate. Dr. Yang actually does contribute a lot to the Supra Liquid PerpDex Microchain concept, of course. So he's involved in that as well, but he's not doing the implementation. He's helping with the theory and reasoning or in kind of design of it as well. But others, like Dr. Rod, for example, myself, and others are heavily involved in that, right? And then we have layer one infrastructure team that they have their own things that they're working on. We have Oracle team that's working on their own things. There is some overlap, of course, right? And eventually all these things do have to touch the layer one. But my point though is that we have small teams. This is the only way to do it. It's like small teams, maybe less than 8 people that are working on core components, right? So remember, Supra is like this monolithic, huge, biggest infrastructure in the world, Web3 infrastructure in the world project with modular components, right? Oracle protocol, changes to that don't necessarily have to affect the consensus algorithm of the entire chain. The consensus algorithm, we have Moonshot, we have innovative Sailfish, we have innovative Hydrangea, right? Can we, make changes to the consensus algorithm without affecting the VRF or Oracle protocol or threshold AI Oracle? Largely, yes, we can. So it's a monolithic system with modular components, and each of the modular components are their own protocols, which are managed by, of course, always goes to the research team first, but effectively small teams that are kind of, and there is overlap, of course, and cross pollination, but this is how you do it, you know. So there's a lot of things. Yeah.
It's
Go ahead.
funny because there was a question on one of the comments, or basically a statement. This is awesome. For some reason, I thought AutoFi got sidelined because of the ICO of Liquid. And so, maybe people don't understand, well, we have a large team. And like you mentioned, we have a lot of small teams that are in parallel working on so many different things. The layer 1, AutoFi V2, Hypernova, cross-chain. There's the list goes on. And, the last couple of weeks, of course, we focused a lot of the marketing to push Liquid, but that's just one product built on our, on our infrastructure. And thank you for kind of saying that. And hopefully our community can understand that we're pushing a lot of things forward in parallel. And I guess that's the point of this community call in general, to kind of keep people updated. Hey, these things are pushing forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it is, there's trade-offs. The trade-offs are like, put everything and just do one thing only. That's like the traditional way layer ones have launched, right? And my honest answer is the world doesn't want to see just a vanilla, the layer one that does one thing, aka go really fast. That's like table stakes. We all have to do that, right? And there are entire teams and projects that are trying to do something like Threshold AI Oracle, right? And we design it in-house, write the right paper, and Dr. Yang and like a handful of engineers are basically built the whole thing in at least for testnet, that is very close to getting done. And yet this is just one of the products we offer in our product suite. The thing is that folks need to understand and is the following. It's this synergy. It's this capability with this capability. Clear one is a smart contract, great. Smart contract with Oracle, even better. Automation with smart contract and Oracle. Now that I have AutoFi, right? And now you have cross-chain communication there. Now you have cross-chain automation, right? Synergistic. They actually work together. And you can't do this the way we do this when you have a modular component here, a Web 2, layer 3 there, a third committee there, no different service for that. It's going to cost more, it's less secure, and it's more expensive. It's slower. So our kind of thesis is full vertical integration, synergistic value creation, and yes, it's harder to do, but it's going to be so obvious that this is like the most powerful thing you can do in Web3. I'm confident about that. Like everyone's going to want to do what we're doing. That's really my belief. So it's going to be the first in something that no one has done, but at the same time, it comes with its own challenges for sure. So, but it's still, I would rather not be, there's nothing else I'd rather be doing for sure. So let's continue. All right, of course. So dApps. Some of these dApps are already on testnet, right? So we have Atmos, we have lending protocols, we have money markets, we have exchanges, right? And there's more. There's more than this list, but to my knowledge, and John, you want to share a little bit more? I know that you've been touching base with all the founders.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a couple more here that are launching.
The teams that the ecosystem launching on Supra are really great. Of course, James, you've had many conversations and subs with them, and I have maybe a couple calls per month, with each team. So they're really excited about launching. They've been ready for a while. We're getting I assets. We just launched Supernova. So right now, the ability to kind of create I assets and bridge over stablecoins is a must. And so a lot of the teams, they're super excited that like everyone got really excited that our community is paying attention to AutoFi. And so every call I have with Atmos, Evo, Superlane, all of our ecosystem projects, I'm like, hey guys, create a whole roadmap of having AutoFi within your protocol. Like have an update and a new function every week if you can, because that'll be really good for different use cases of course using Supra and all of our product suites to the max. But it's also really great for our community because everyone wants to see new functionality. We want to actually create applications that are different, that are not just like vanilla dexes or vanilla lending protocols. We need something unique. And we really want to push innovation. And we believe that we can help push innovation by, of course, providing the best infrastructure, native oracles, native automation, native bridging, and helping, cross-chain automation is going to be an amazing thing. So, for example, I was speaking to Supra Lane, and I was kind of pitching them this idea is like, well, what if you really can help do, cross-chain, like if you can enable like the ability to have better yield on different ecosystems. Because Supra Lane team, there's some other ecosystem projects that are like maybe they collaborate or they have some connections to, but they can be able to maybe connect and create these cross-chain arbitrage automations. And I think that would be interesting. So yeah, all of our ecosystem projects are really excited about launching. We have to get iAssets and POEL up. And in order really to start bridging assets and increasing TVL across these different platforms. And they'll all have their own incentives for users to stake or to borrow, lend. And hopefully these incentives can be more, not like incredibly more than other ecosystems, but definitely generous and hopefully attract a good amount of liquidity in TVL.
And just a reminder, if you guys aren't following these guys, Atmos Protocol on X, Trade with Evo on X, and Superlane Fi on X. Evo and Atmos are in essence dexes. Superlane basically lending fi and DeFi. So they've got a whole suite of different liquidity pools which you can be part of and contribute to. And then also to mention on top of that, a lot of people would have seen the likes of Supra Lend coming, and of course Meta Mystics, which we'll discuss in the next sup as well. So there's a lot happening in terms of dApps coming to Supra's mainnet very, very soon.
Yeah, I think the Slido is also the first protocol to actually leverage automation. So good for them. They're going to be, they are pioneering automation to what they're doing, and they're of course mainnet already, right? So it's exciting to see that. And I do want to make it clear, as to echo what John was saying, is POEL, cross-chain communication, getting these assets, these iAssets, having this dual incentive model from block rewards, as well as having the iAsset to put into Super DeFi. Remember, these projects also had to make changes to their protocols to integrate these iAssets, right? There are some changes that they have to make to do this. This is why it's taking a little bit longer, right? But this is how we attract liquidity. You say, this is where the yield's coming from. You're bringing your Ether, you're borrowing Supra token against it, you're staking it. That's yield source number one. Block rewards, right? Staking, block rewards, yield source number one. It's just like Lido ETH, but on Supra. It's providing economic security in ETH. Supra, you get block rewards in Supra, but you also get this iETH, this like Lido ETH, right? On Supra, that you can put into Supra Lane, do something on Atmos, trade on Evo, right? Maybe use as collateral for Slido to mint, their cash tokens, et cetera, right? Each of these things might have their own point system, their own mechanics, et cetera, et cetera. Or you might just be earning yield on, additional yield for providing this asset as liquidity or collateral, et cetera, right? So this is, and this is gonna, just to kind of set expectations, it's not gonna be like we're live and everything is gonna flood in. And actually, we're gonna have to let it flow in slowly, maybe 100, 200,000 a week max until a certain period of time. You want to kind of keep the system balanced and just take it slow, right? But once you kind of get through, let's just say a couple months of this, I mean, we're always going to be, because this is mission critical technology, we prefer to go slow, right? We feel really comfortable about the technology implementation, et cetera. We'll, of course, get audits and all of this stuff. Nonetheless, it'll start slow, and then we'll get to a stage where actually the larger Supra's market cap grows, the more assets we can take in. Okay, you can understand that, right? That we're connecting to BNB or Ethereum, Solana, Sui, Aptos, AVAX, Layer 2s will start to get connected to them all. And each of them have their respective digital assets that have value that can be providing some additional economic security and value to Supra, right? I actually think Supra, through these applications here, are going to be a premier destination for native asset to native asset trading. So maybe something on Solana, trading with your assets on Ethereum, or you just have used your Ether on Ethereum, put it into a Supra vault, issued somehow some sort of stable value on Supra, or a digital representation of this collateral on Supra. And same thing with the other asset on Solana. You do all your activity here, and then you settle on the chain and get the native asset after you're done with your activity on Supra itself. It could be borrow lending, perp dexes, it could be whatever it might be. So we think that this is really setting for us to attract liquidity and utility. We had this hackathon in New York City at permissionless. Like there's a developer that basically won the hackathon. His natural inclination was to bridge assets through BNB testnet to Supra, do some activity on Supra, and then automate after the activity is done, back the difference to BNB chain. So it's cross-chain. He was leveraging cross-chain, on-chain smart contracts, as well as automation. And that was a good demo. That was his intuition. So imagine like once that developers from many ecosystems understand this more, we think this will become a very prevalent thing. And we think a lot of this activity will be on the protocols that launch on Supra. So, for us to facilitate proof of efficient liquidity protocol, multi-asset liquid staking, right? These dApps had to make some changes to their smart contracts, to their applications to integrate it. They're almost done though. So we think that September is going to be a pretty big launch as we roll out the incentive program, the POEL program, and also have dApps ready to integrate and utilize and put that liquidity to work. This is where, and also AutoFi is kicking into gear. This is where basically the Supra engine starts to actually get going properly, right? We're basically a full stack at this stage. We have the bridge, we have automation, Oracle, on-chain randomness, smart contracts, right? And then also microchains and containers very soon too. So yeah, September is going to continue to be an incredible, busy, fulfilling month. So new Auto-fi primitives. The first one's being released tonight, actually. It's actually similar functionality as we've always discussed. Structure is slightly different for more scale and better economics. So it's more scalable and you can do more and it's cheaper, basically. So that's starting tonight, and there's Auto-fi features. There's more than one primitive. There's many small incremental functionalities. Some of them are big, some are a little smaller, but when put together in conjunction, this facilitates new things you couldn't do elsewhere. Of course, we talked about the POEL, right? So that's already launched on testnet as well, and maybe by the end of September we can go to mainnet. Super liquid proof of concept, that could be as quickly as 2 weeks from now, right? And just proof of concept, we're demonstrating not only just a DEX or perp DEX, but it's on the microchain, right? It's going to be running really quickly. It should feel great, meaning it should feel like a Web2 experience. That's not going to be connecting to the Super Layer 1, re-execute on Super Layer 1. It's not yet. So proof of concept is just to showcase that the super stack on a small chain should work exceptionally well. So that's and this will be actually running a perp DEX, like the core of it, right? So we're partnered with some excellent developers that are basically experts in building decentralized exchanges as well as perps. So modifications, for some of our ideas, like we have a unique stack that can do things that other blockchains can't do. So we will be making changes to what you might expect from a traditional Web3 perp DEX, right? So that's going to be exciting. It's not going to be, there is no we're not like forking Hyperliquid because you can't. There's not open source like that, right? And we wouldn't anyways. We're Rust based. We're also Move language based, right? So we're yes, EVM is coming soon, and actually, it is deployed on one of our testnets right now. But that should probably, the team wants a little more time to also once again connect with the changes to the RPC, to the Explorer, to the wallet. These things have to be done in conjunction. We're excited about that. I didn't add that to this list right now because I can't tell if we're comfortable to open it up more broadly on the multi-VM architecture. We have a testnet that's running Move language, and also kind of an early iteration of the EVM on the same network. We're not sure if that's ready for publics to try yet, but we're close. I mean, we're running EVM very efficiently. We have extreme performance in terms of consensus, but also our parallel execution. The algorithms, the designs we have for BTM, block transactional memory, right? These are basically outperforming the state of the art for parallel execution, right? Now, remember, that sounds like a big deal. It is a big deal. It's outperforming, PEVM and Rise Chain parallel execution model, and we think it like Monad hasn't really shared anything or put anything publicly, and it's probably because about their EVM because they realize that the EVM is not the bottleneck in in um, in Ethereum kind of EVM execution. You can do tens of thousands of transactions per second. That's not the issue. It's consensus. Optimizations on the EVM are like on the microsecond and millisecond basis. Consensus, you're operating on the millisecond to 1 second basis. Optimizing that is the bigger thing you need to do. This is why um, we really deeply think about optimizing consensus algorithms. But that doesn't stop us from also optimizing the execution component, which we have. And we got accepted to another top academic venue on the topic. And we through a double blind peer review process, we do take this rigorous approach, and the data is looking good. But anyways, the other major one is especially AI Oracle. As we mentioned, that should be in testnet this month. And you guys have seen like things go to testnet roughly 30 to 60 days. 30 to 45 days is like the sweet spot. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but roughly, I think on average, you can imagine from testnet to mainnet, it's about 45 days. Because a lot of things we remember it actually goes from devnet to testnet to mainnet. So by the time we got to testnet, it's already devnet. We have like several of these, right? It's been there for a while, and that's where we've been improving it, et cetera. So uh, whenever we make a testnet announcement, it's probably been on devnet for like 2 months, right? Or more. And then from testnet to mainnet, let's just say roughly 45 days on average. Don't forget the most important line here. It's on every slide at all times. Timelines may shift and are subject to change. But yeah, by and large, I think you can see that yes, timelines have been shifting here and there, but we're relentless. We keep on pushing new things. We build things that no one else is doing, right? And it's pretty awesome. So I hope you also see it that way. Otherwise, we just won't give you any roadmap, no timelines at all, and this is why you notice there aren't any specific days of the week, right? Because I've learned, not to talk about that, but nonetheless, we do have this desire and we want to be, have this culture of sharing like what we're aiming to do and, publicly share it, right? So just bear with us and just be reasonable in that, like, dude, like they're doing things that most projects require, and that's just like a whole entire team for, and that's just one of their main things that they're bringing to market. And remember, the whole power of this thing, right? The Supra vertical integrated stack, the power is the synergy of these things being vertically integrated. I'm telling you, this is going to be the biggest thing. It's really like Chainlink. If they had a layer one that was as fast as Supra, you can imagine that would be like the biggest thing in the world, right? Supra is understands the importance of the things that folks like Chainlink do. And we're building into a single infrastructure, vertical integration, shared security, faster algorithms, and cheaper. So yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for their success. I'm rooting for the success of Hyperliquid. I'm rooting for the success of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, AVAX. It's all good. It's great. And like our industry is going mainstream. It's going to take longer than it we think, to go mainstream. But I'll tell you what, like, remember Mike Novogratz back in like 2017, 2018, yeah, 2017, he used to be saying the herd is coming, the institutional herd is coming. Well, they're coming, yeah, and they're closer than ever, but it took 7 years. You know what I'm saying? But he was right. They're not here. So when I say this, we're going mainstream, it's probably still going to take like 3 to 5 more years to actually really penetrate some level of mainstream. Which is it's good though. I mean, almost everyone I know has not heard of Bitcoin now. You know, that wasn't the case 7 years ago. You know, And it's certainly not about Ethereum. And almost everyone knows or heard of Ethereum before, So it's a good start, but it's still not mainstream yet. All right, that's the presentation. I hope that was clear. I hope that shows a little transparency. I couldn't see any of the questions. I couldn't see any of your comments or faces, John and James. So yeah,
How many questions do you gents want to take? I've got a couple, but also I recognize we are at the hour mark. So you let me know how many questions you want to run through, and I'll choose the best few. Also, just to say, we do have an announcement about the big Project Blastoff launch giveaway. We have chosen or selected the winners of our second launch giveaway via DVRF, so we can announce those. So I'll do that once we get through the questions. What do you guys reckon in terms of how many you'd like to take?
Let's how about we go through some answers pretty quick. Let's try to like get as many as possible in the next like 5 minutes.
Cool. All right. So Kuzo1 Ace asks about multi-VM. In fact, about Supernova. He wants to know if Solana is in the plans for Supernova, and if so, how long is that plan for Solana to be available on Supernova?
Yeah, so it's definitely in the cards. I would say that the way that the engineers are kind of approaching this, research and engineers, are that, hey, look, we've integrated with the EVM because we integrate with Ethereum. So the low-hanging fruit are other EVM chains. There are some big ones: BNB, AVAX, Polygon, and several others. So let's get good at deploying those. Ethereum first, BNB next, then maybe like 3 others, right? Now, while that's being deployed and monitored, of course, DevNet, testnet, mainnet. We already know how to do it with Solana, but Solana is also making changes to their infrastructure and algorithms with Opt and Glow, etc. So we kind of want to wait to see how they proceed on that. Make sure, because for example, their cryptographic signature scheme, they're moving away from I think ECDSA to DLS signatures, like Supra has had from day one, right? So they're like Opt and Glow is actually very similar to what Supra has already been doing, especially with Hydrangea, in terms of all-to-all communication, as well as BLS cryptographic signatures. So Solana's going to be making those changes apparently. We don't know exactly when they're finished, but once they kind of harden their design, we'll just like, okay, we're like that's your approach. Great. That's actually better than what you've been doing before with proof of history. It actually makes our job easier too in terms of getting finality, because they have moved from a non-deterministic algorithm, which is proof of history, to deterministic algorithm, which has faster finality. I mean, their algorithm is deterministic, but it just takes 21 blocks, right, for proof of history. The way Solana actually works, you have to actually wait for like 12 seconds for real finality on Solana. But as they moved to Alpha and Glow, they moved into more of the same designs that Supra's already doing. That actually makes our job easier to connect to them. So yeah, that's the answer there. So I would say there's no timelines, but EVM first, and then yeah.
Working on it from there. There was a question which I was going to answer myself. I'm not going to anymore because I've actually lost it. But this one can be for you, John, because I know you're actually in the process of relocating to the US from Taiwan at the moment. So McKinney asks, can we do a raise on Supra Liquid in the future for US citizens when regulatory clarity is available?
I think what we can do, and yeah, of course, Josh and I are both Americans. We're very sympathetic to the community, and we want Americans to have some skin in the game in Supra. I can say for one thing, we haven't really even discussed this, but while you were saying it, I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I think maybe we can promote some early liquidity provisioning in Supra Liquid, and we can have maybe one vault specific for Americans, and they'll probably need to KYC, etc. But this is one idea. I mean, I'm sure we can come up with different ideas. This is only an idea that I'm saying in the moment. We might not be able to do this.
Properly community based, real community.
Yeah, we can think of something where we can like put a additional incentive for liquidity provisioning on Supra Liquid because Americans weren't able to participate in the ICO. So we'll be creative.
We'll be creative, but we don't really know exactly. Like even Hyperliquid is geofenced from America, right? So we'll figure something out in terms of like trying to make sure community benefits, but we just can't break the rules. You know what I mean? We can't break the laws. But you know, there's no but there. Yeah, basically that.
Sure.
But yeah, we do care. Want to make sure that we'll figure something out.
Yeah,
that's fair enough. I did get a comment that came through from M Umar officials. Where's my babe Chase? Unfortunately, Chase is not with us today. Chase joins us on the SUP, and Mondays once a month is the AMA. So Chase sends his love though. So apologies for those of you looking for Chase's beautiful face, M Umar. Next one comes from Chukwu Harrison. Chukwu Harrison Ndudi says, amazing guys, keep building. My question is, when will we be able to claim our liquid tokens, i.e. when will TGE happen?
Well, so we launched the idea is proof of concept, then testnet launch, then audit, and then mainnet launch. During the testnet phase, we are going to follow the Hyperliquid playbook, which they did a point system first, and then that point system will continue into mainnet, and then that'll at some point thereafter you'll actually issue the token. Anyone in the Confon liquid sale, there is no vesting. When that TG happens, you just get your tokens. And the airdrop folks from the point system get their tokens. Just like we're basically studying Hyperliquid. I see another question in terms of buybacks, etc. All these mechanics, these mechanisms, we're looking to model what Superliquid does, very similar to this, like almost the same. Remember, we're not using their code at all. It's just a concept. We like their concepts. We're using our technology, and we're actually going to be adding some new functionality to this in terms of using automation, perhaps, faster Oracle, it's X, Y, and Z, right? Faster chain, it'll be faster because we have the microchain technology. Yeah, so, but the kind of internal economics mechanisms, we're very much looking to either do something very similar or improve upon it, right? We hope we can improve upon it, but that is a good baseline, what they have already done. So let's put it that way. So the system should do a lot of things as Hyperliquid does in terms of buybacks, etc. Let's put it that way.
All right. Next question comes from Rockuton. Rockuton asked a little bit earlier on in the stream, I'm curious of how Liquid addresses liquidity or slippage that often occurs on Hype. Is there any mechanism in Liquid to minimize impermanent loss during staking or pooling? Thanks, team.
That's a very good question. So we do have something called a dynamic function market maker technology. This has been kind of theorized a couple of years ago. We had the white paper out for over a year, and the DeFi team at Supra is working on it. The same team that's kind of designed the economics of the Hyperliquid, the Superliquid, Hyperliquid kind of inspired Supra technology Perptex. They have also, and with I've been part of this as well, innovated this dynamic function market maker. This design is not a traditional AMM per se. We want to leverage both automation as well as the DFMM to try to mitigate impermanent loss and to have better execution quality, perhaps. But it's interesting to see that you guys have had this. You have had this observation. There's this slippage, etc. So we'll look into that as well, and we do think that you know fast technology is good, fast Oracle is good. Of course, everything has to be secure. Security is always number one. But also automation as well as DFMM concepts, even things like multi-asset liquid staking, even things like that can have application to what we call auto vaults. Auto vaults might be able to have better execution quality and less impermanent loss, perhaps. So we will look into this deeply as well.
All right, the next one I'm going to throw John's way, because I know from internal meetings and what have you, John, you're obviously extremely and intimately involved in business development, with the various ecosystem projects and new projects coming into the Supra ecosystem. This one comes from Supra Weekly Giveaway. Does the team have plans to support smaller groups building good things on Supra? For instance, I'm building spiky.fun, maybe providing funds for audits, etc.
Yeah, we do this all the time. I mean, not all the ecosystem projects started out with a big team. Some of them started small. So we do that, and we support small teams. We just had a call today with our DevRel. We just have a DevRel meeting. And I mean, this is not, I mean, it's actually, it's kind of related, because we also want to promote even one DevRel to see how what they can do, templates they can create, content they can create, and potentially even create a small project. And yes, we are willing to give funding and support for those people that actually prove to contribute well or to build good products. And so we're going to have a better system to do that. I actually do think that we're working on having a better system to reward smaller teams and smaller developers. And for audits are expensive though. You know, when you get into the audit world and auditing, you're a little bit further on, and you know the cost can be like 10K, 15K plus, especially in Move. There are only a handful of auditing firms, and yeah, it can be quite costly. But we do support teams, small teams, and we want to create a better system where we can even support like the single developer. And so more on that to come. I think we're going to be launching like templates and demos from our DevRel team to create content to really inspire our community, inspire developers to build on Supra. And from an ecosystem and a business development perspective, yes, we want to have a better structure to support these smaller teams. So I'll just say that we are working on that, and that's something that is really important to us.
So let me jump in here. Actually, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
James, go ahead. I'll ask the last one.
I was just gonna ask John real quick. You're gonna be at Token 2049 in Singapore and Korea Blockchain Week, right?
That's right.
So the reason I ask that is if there are projects watching right now, the same goes for who just asked that question, Supra Weekly Giveaway. If you are in Singapore or Korea Blockchain Week, find John and chat to him face to face, because that's one of the best ways to actually start your relationship with building on Supra is a face to face relationship like that. So yeah, if you are able to travel, I'd encourage you to do that. Josh,
Okay.
continue.
Yeah, please do that. So I do want to kind of address some of these questions coming in. Actually, it's important that we talk about FTO, fused token offering. 40% of super liquid tokens are being fused into this vault. Okay. Remember, we have sold approximately what the collective organization foundation is 1.5% of the liquid supply for super tokens. Those super tokens are 100% utilized for ecosystem incentives, transparent on chain, no development, etc. This is not a raise token launching a second token. We're also launching an entire new technology stack called the Microchain technology to run this perptex. And we also are introducing this fused token offering, right? Where basically that value is evenly proportionally shared across all super token holders. Okay. So this is really important for folks to know that no, it's not necessarily a red flag that Supra is launching a whole new microchain infrastructure with a new product that needs its own token. I want to make it clear, we have tried to make this work with only the Supra token. We debated this for 6 weeks internally. The reason why we didn't go for it in the end, John and I actually wanted this. We're like, let's just do one token. Everything else is paid in one token. What ultimately the DeFi and econ team and also others suggested is that we have seen airdrops be kind of risky. We did 4% of our supply to, our airdrop program. That was a learn and earn program. Doing further token release for incentives to draw developers in or bring liquidity to this DApp in the super token is risky. So what we decided was, okay, we raised in the super token. All that value is utilized for ecosystem growth and incentives. We introduced a liquid token for this application and for the node and the infrastructure to power it. Okay. And we came up with the Fuse token offering, Fuse token vaults, where that value for this application, in this case, since we and our partners and dApp developers are launching it together, we have the ability to put 40% of the total supply into a Fuse vault, meaning every single token, just in a nutshell, every single super token holder benefits proportionally. Okay. It's like mathematically proportionate. Okay. So look into it. This is actually really cool because there are projects that we have invested in or supported who, instead of just us acting as a like venture fund, right, which doesn't necessarily get that value circulating back into the ecosystem per se, the Fuse model proportionally benefits everyone. And all the ecosystem funding into these projects, that's all being put into the Fuse model. So I think we're at like 10 different tokens that will be in the Fuse model. The majority of it's going to be the super liquid token. But over time, imagine if we support 100 projects over the years, different amounts, 1%, 10%, 5%, 15%, projects that we do ourselves, we'll try to do significant amounts like 30 to 50% into Fuse vaults so that existing super token holders have this benefit. Take a look at the video. We posted this. It's on X. It's on the Common Fund page. Read the paper. I know most of you don't read. You just say, "Oh, there's a problem. A red flag." It's like, well, I
Well,
hope you can think deeper.
that's what white paper and chill is for people that don't read white papers.
Yeah, that's right. The audio version of the white papers. It's called White Paper and Chill. It's on YouTube. Take a look at it. We should make sure we put it on like Spotify as well. But yeah, just to address it, like, why is your token for this thing? It's because it turns out that we need this to attract liquidity, right? And doing it only in the super token seems risky. You know, Sui, for example, is rolling out or has rolled out Walrus. That's a different token, right? At least the way we do it is with like I'm really excited about this. Like this innovation, this pressure created this new concept called Fuse Vaults, and there are some very interesting dynamics. So you guys really should look into it. Put it through AI, watch the video. But I mean, I guess for me, it's just I think it's very clear if you kind of use your brain, you'll like understand that super is all about aligning incentives. Okay. So before you start to say this or that, right, about, oh, why are they doing it this way? Oh, they don't know what they're doing. First of all, no one exactly knows the future of Web3, right? Our general thesis, and it's only a thesis, is that vertical integration is the best outcome. That's what we're sticking to. And yes, it's challenging. And yes, it's different than everyone else. And therefore, it's hard to recognize because no one's done it the way we're doing it. So we have, we don't expect you to understand everything, but I would like you to invite you to study a bit. Just take this stuff and put it into AI and ask a bunch of questions before you start posting FUD on X. Like you're not reading and you're not studying. You're not even using your brain half the time, some of you. For our community folks that do, thank you. And I hope that we can help, elevate your knowledge in this space, right? I think a lot of folks have really got a lot of brain rot from meme coin trading. Their brain just like disintegrated, you know. All right, it's a bad joke, but yeah, I mean, we love what we do. It's serious. Uh, we appreciate the folks that are building permissionlessly on Supra. That includes folks that are launching new coins on Supra. And I wasn't talking poorly about you, and it's just I personally don't engage in that myself. We are just so oriented in creating value. Our thesis is vertical integration that's going to create synergy. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm just a little bit offended sometimes when our character is brought into the mix And it should be very clear that this is like by design, literally ICO 2.0, by design is not a money grab. We are held accountable in order to build this. The milestone-based funding is all about bringing something more healthy to Web3 and being, you have to deliver it or the money gets returned, right? So this is just net win, 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 win. I know that some of you can't see that because you're just not using your brain enough. But other than I know that some of you folks are just cruising at like 160 IQ, part of our community that are doing their research, doing their homework, and just like really understanding what we're doing. Appreciate you guys, and let's just build your own internal thesis as to why what we're doing is important and why you're part of this community. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I shouldn't let it get to me, but when someone kind of questions our motivations or character, I'm just very much protective about that because, like, look, everything we're doing is alignment. Yeah. Okay.
Just a real quick shout out to a couple of cool comments here from AL2A. Your infrastructure is currently being well established and new technologies such as AutoFi, Supernova, and others have already been implemented into the network. Thank you for recognizing that, AL2A. Also love this comment from Moonhop. FTO was never done before. I had Grok analyze the white paper and Grok says it was promising. So really appreciate that, Moonhop. And that's what it's all about. Like, actually get onto the various LLMs and ask them what they think about the white papers that are written by industry leading researchers and computer scientists that are powering Supra forward. I also want to say, Harish Asar, you have been commenting all day. Please DM me on X because I see you're on YouTube. Harish, DM me on X. I will assist you. I'll do my best to find your ticket and chat to the support team. I can see that you're really stressed. Don't worry. I will do my best to help you out. Let's take one more question, gentlemen. I'm going to go with Victor's. Victor asks, Hyperliquid's success comes from using 97% of revenue for token buybacks, creating a deflationary model, unmatched so far. Will SuperLiquid implement a similar mechanism, or do you have a unique approach that you will take to rival that kind of success?
So, maybe you were part here when I was explaining, but basically, Hyperliquid is the foundational concept that we want to follow. Okay, their concept of kind of decentralized, basically, like in DeFi, it really comes down to the following: if you try to take out or extract too much value, someone's just going to come in and lower the fees, make it cheaper, right? But offer a very comparable service. We think Hyperliquid, the way they're doing it, is very good. And we want to model, like our baseline is to do something similar. But yes, we do think there are some interesting opportunities for us to leverage our technology stack to do things that they can't necessarily do. So this, a lot of this has to do with AutoFi. We're looking into AutoFi into these microchains that to introduce this notion of auto vaults. There's a lot more. We'll be sharing more in the weeks ahead. But as a baseline, the answer is we want to really follow the go-to-market that Hyperliquid has pioneered already. It's very good already. Why try to change it much? The only thing we're going to do is try to enhance it when we can. The baseline is very good already. Put it that way. So the answer is we like their go-to-market. We like our technology. Their concepts are great. They are borrowing good concepts from other existing DeFi, right? So yeah, I hope that's clear. I think I've been clear about this.
Yeah,
All right.
I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, John, go ahead.
Do we want to announce some winners? Do we have like a
I think we
screenshot,
should.
or do we have like something to bring up, or should
We
I
do indeed. I think Nipun has been preparing that. So Nipun will bring that up. I have sent over to you in the chat those winners for
Okay.
the second PBO2 launch giveaway winners. So if you were, yep, we're ready, Napoon. Go
Let's
ahead,
go.
bring it up, and John's going to announce the winners. Let's go for it.
Yep. So we have 3 winners for the Sandwear Supra earphones. We have 1 winner for the Apple Watch. We have an iPhone and a MacBook. So here they are. The 3 winners for the Supra Sandwear earphones are Sensu, Invisible, and Ella Mad 15. Congratulations. You get the Sandwear headphones. Sandwear, they have the Supra logo on them, and my wife actually listens to them. They're really high quality. They're better than the Apple earpods. Apple earpods, yeah. I will not use anything other than them because they're really great for phone calls and they connect to the iPhone so easily. But these Sandwear earphones have so much better music quality. And so like you can tell the difference. Music just sounds so much better on these earphones. So congratulations to those.
And just to jump on that, Chase actually uses his Sandwear earphones during the SUP, and his microphone quality is incredible. So
oh wow,
it just goes to show the kind of quality that people are getting with those Sandwear.
That's cool. That's awesome. Okay, and then we have the Apple Watch Series 10 winner, which is Amethyst Lomex. So congratulations, Amethyst. I don't even have an iWatch myself. That's awesome.
Mine's actually Apple Watch 3. So to get an Apple Watch 10 is like next level. Congratulations, Amethyst Mystics. Very cool. Well done.
And for the Apple MacBook, Lukian Bolan, congratulations. That's the largest prize, right?
Yeah, congratulations, Lukian. Amazing.
Wow.
Congratulations.
I didn't even know a MacBook.
And did we do the iPhone?
Yeah, and the iPhone, Candy Andy.
Candy Andy.
This is the Apple iPhone 16. I think I shouldn't mention mine in case there's some hackers, but I have a lower model.
Yeah.
Let me show you this one. I still use this. This is not my main phone.
What is that? The X?
This is like the X, yeah. And the screen's kind of popping off, but it's such a. Anyways, I have some like a USB SIM card in there. But yeah, that'll be replaced very soon with probably an iPhone 16. So in the weeks ahead. But yeah.
Congratulations, Candy Andy. Yeah, and I hear you. I'm on an old iPhone myself. You can actually see right here there is like a lens flare over there, and that's because I'm using my iPhone as my camera, and that is a little crack that I have on my camera screen. So yeah, time for an upgrade, but we'll get there in due course. Mr. Bullrun says he's on an iPhone 11. So these people that are now rolling with iPhone 16s, congratulations, Candy Andy. You're one of the elite.
Oh, he just found out he won. Nice. Congrats.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Candy Andy's on the stream. That's amazing. Congratulations, Candy Andy. That's incredible.
OMG, that was like seconds ago, like a minute ago.
John Martin says, when Supraphone? Is that going to happen? Solana have their own phone. Are we going to get one? I mean, that's
it was so funny when that phone came out because it was so low quality and it was such a bad build, but everyone was so happy receiving it because they all got what was it, Bonk? They got all these airdrops in the phone, and then everyone like it sold out like right away as they launched next time. So it's kind of funny that where you have this hardware that people don't even care about or use, but they're like selling out like hotcakes because there's some kind of meme coin or token inside this hardware. So I don't know, maybe we should do something like that for like a node or like a physical node on Supra or something like this. But yeah, having our own iPhone or having our own phone would be interesting.
There you go, Martin. Good question.
Yep. So I did want to mention that for these this giveaway, that the participants qualified by earning 240 zaps in time, and they were chosen using our DRF, are verifiable random functions. So all of them were chosen randomly, but they did receive up to 240 zaps. And you can get that by participating in Discord and also on well, actually, sorry, that you can get that. That's zips. You can get that by actually participating and doing things in Project Blastoff. So we'll reach out to all of you via email within a week for your KYC checks and to do for you to get those prizes over to you, etc.
I do have something pretty big. So first of all, I have to leave to kind of team call in just a second here. But we also have the Supra car giveaway in I think 1 or 2 weeks.
It's
is it 2
it's
weeks
1
now?
week from Thursday. 1 week from Thursday.
Okay, so almost 2 weeks. You have to check into Project Blastoff and have like a 14-day streak to be eligible for that. But we're giving away a Supra car. Last year in PVO 1, we actually selected a winner through the DVRF, but it turned out that person was cheating. So we were like, okay, let's give it away now in V2. So we're, check out Project Blastoff, check in every day for the next 2 weeks or so. And we're going to be selecting a winner for a freaking Toyota Supra. Okay.
Come on, baby.
Yeah. And then we'll probably be getting out more phones and iPads and stuff like this. And the Sandware, Soundware, etc., which they're great quality as well. So yeah, we'll be giving out more things as well, and the zaps and the points, etc. These things will be utilized for other things. I do have to hop to the other call, but stick around. Go back to Project Blastoff. Tune in for 14 days straight. Get into the running for the actual freaking Supra Toyota giveaway. Okay,
come on.
Thanks, guys.
Josh, thanks so much for running through the deck with us, and thank you for joining us today. John, thank you, sir. It's just you and I. Any final comments before we wrap up, man?
Just really excited that we had the successful Supra Liquid ICO, 2.0 launch. We were able to really make sure that we benefited those early Citadel stakers, the community that really felt like we just launched it saying, hey, there's going to be future projects launching on Citadel, and that you might get a discount. And we were very vague about it. And, just really thank you and appreciative of the support from the early Citadel community members. And so we're going to be opening up Citadel again. We'll have more information on that. And if you participate in staking on Citadel, you will also get future discounts and first access to ecosystem projects that are launching on Supra. So thank you. Now that the sale is over, maybe we're going to be switching back to focusing a lot of marketing on all the other projects and ecosystems that are on Supra. But we definitely did spend a little bit of time on Supra Liquid. But appreciate everyone that participated in that. And as Josh mentioned, we do have this FTO model. The whole idea is for us to launch a perp dex where a lot of the value can come back to Supra. Otherwise, if someone else in the ecosystem launches a perp dex on Supra, that's not, and it doesn't have like 40% of the tokens staked in FTO, maybe the rewards wouldn't necessarily come back to the Supra holders in the Supra community as much as Supra Liquid will. So please think about that. I saw some comments about people saying, hey, Supra is launching a new token, and maybe they're thinking, oh, this is a money grab, or this is, something else. But really, it's about launching a successful perp dex on Supra using our unique technology or unique infrastructure stack, and having super chain containers to be able to create such a high throughput perpetual dex, and having this FTO model where we're going to bring a lot of value back to the Supra holders. So hopefully you guys are excited about that. Hopefully you're bullish about what we're doing with Supra Liquid. But as we mentioned today with the roadmap, that we're working on a lot of things in parallel. We're doing a lot here. Some say we might be doing too much. But one thing I was thinking about is that as our team does so much, and as we are shipping so many things in parallel, there's this concept called combinatorics, where you can, if you have this experience and knowledge in many different areas, you can use what's called combinatorics to take those different ideas in these different areas and combine them in very unique and interesting ways. And actually, that's how innovation happens, because a lot of ideas are not new; they're just combined together. It's just like, it's almost like it's like evolution, right? Where you kind of like, things evolve and they morph and they kind of, you know, they converge. And so, for example, like we have, we're launching a Perpdex, and we also have a Threshold AI Oracle, and we have automation, cross-chain communication. Like we've been thinking in the last week, well, you know, these prediction markets are getting hot, right? Of course, Poly market's big, Kalshi, and there's a lot of like buzz about prediction markets. What if you had a prediction market that had, you know, the ability to have leverage? So you kind of have a prediction market plus like a perpetual DEX plus, AI oracles. Like, wow, that's kind of like one idea or one way you can see combinatorics in action. So once we have the experience of working on these many different things, studying many different areas, we can kind of like, that's actually how innovation, I think that's a breeding ground for innovation. So I did want to mention that. And that's about it. I think this was a really great community call. And thank you so much, James, for facilitating. And, thank you, Josh, for going through the presentation. And thank you, everyone, for watching.
Always a pleasure. Absolute pleasure, John. Thank you so much, man. Really appreciate all your work, efforts, and load and stress that you're carrying as well. You have kids, you have a wife, and you're in the midst of trying to relocate back to the US, which is not an easy task, on top of trying to roll out what is quite possibly the most exciting L1 in the industry, and only the third Move VM L1. So really appreciate you being with us today. Just a final shout out to Super Daddy. He says if he wins the Toyota, he's driving it to the Fulham Stadium for a pick outside the front for me. So please, I hope you do win it then, Super Daddy. There will be no favoritism. It's all chosen via DVRF. And yes, Fulham snatching a 1-1 draw at Craven Cottage against Man United yesterday made me very happy. Martin Dude says he blames his wife and her lovely eyes since he forgot on the day we had a no kids day. I guess you're talking about your 14 days in a row for the Toyota Supra qualification. To everyone else, guys, we're going to leave it there. There's so many questions and comments. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to those of you who have positively commented. I know there are a couple of fudders, but to those of you that are positive, we appreciate you. There are so many more positive commenters and community members, and you are very much appreciated. To the negative ones, we're trying our best to answer your questions that are coming through to our help desk. We will get to you, and we'll catch you on the SUP this coming Thursday at 3 p.m. UTC. Join us then. Peace.
Taking L1 higher, ecosystem fire while the others getting wrecked. Super only getting flyer. Supra, we don't play no